I don't know why I just happened to like think about this dude, but there was this kid. Oh, he was a young, I mean, he was a man, but I was in the homeless shelter on Main Street in Buffalo, kind of near Utica Street, near the train station, and there's a Burger King across the street. And he came, I don't know where he was from, but he was my roommate at the time. And I just remember one day he didn't show up for dinner, and you had to be like there at a certain time. You could miss dinner, but you had to be there by like, I think 10 or 9 was the cutoff. And he didn't show up. And then I came back, went out the next day, and I forget where I went, but I came back the next day, and he had there was a bunch of people like sitting around the table, and I remember going, "What's going on with all you guys? What are y'all moping around for?" You know? And they were like, "Josh died." And I go, "What do you mean? What do you mean he died?" And he go, "He overdosed at the McDonald's across the street in the bathroom." Because I remember seeing the rescue squad there earlier that day, you know, but that wasn't nothing new, you know what I mean? And I just remember the look on his parents' face when they came to pick up what belongings he had. You know, his dad came to the door, you know, and I had a bag of stuff, and I remember I didn't know he had kids, and I just remember like seeing his fucking kids, you know, in the car, and just going like, you know, like, what the fuck? There's nothing about any of this shit that's better than your kids. You know what I mean? There's nothing about any of this shit that you're ever gonna go, yeah, you know, this was worth taking time away, and now I took myself away from my kids for the rest of my life. And I just remember looking at, and the look on his face from his dad was just like, this is just, you know, what he's been doing is for the last, I don't know if he was like 26 or 27, but his dad, the look on his dad's face was like, you know, whatever, you know. They really had just removed themselves from it. And I've known another situation where I've had a parent just say, you know, their daughter had been doing, you know, stuff, and I just remember, you know, I'm friends with the dad, and I just remember him going, you know, yeah, I don't ever really see her, you know, I don't ever see that happening, her getting sober or her turning her life around. It's been fucking 24 years, you know what I mean? I kind of just moved on and accepted the fact that this is what the fuck is going on, and I just, man, that's some fucking sorry shit, you know? And listening to a doctor talk on the radio about how there's no cure for this shit, and so many people, I just, you know, losing both of my brothers to this stuff, and so many people will try all the alternatives, you know, but they don't ever want to give their life to Jesus because they either don't want to seem desperate. Well, guess what? If you're on drugs and you're losing your family, your house, your life, your fucking kids, and you think that is like, I'm not gonna do that. Well, good luck trying all the other methods of shit. You know what I mean? It's just sad, you know, like the things I remember seeing. This one dude ended up pulling a gun on me and robbing me, and I really wanted to beat his ass, because there's nothing more humiliating than somebody that you can beat up pulling a gun or a knife on you. And you know, the $60 he needed was a lot more. You know, I'd rather give you $60 and save my life. But I just remember a story he told me that his daughter, the guy was 67 years old, his name was Blue. He had been in jail. The police told me that he had murdered somebody, and he was, you know, questioned for about 4 or 5 other murders before I knew him. And he said, they even said to me, like, he, you know, not that I gave a fuck that he liked me or anything like that, but they were like, you know, we're surprised that he didn't shoot you and your friend, even though it was broad daylight where you were at. And I was like, yeah, I was kind of thinking he was gonna. And I remember the cops called, the deputy or the detective called me, and he's like, Brian, I'm here right now with so-and-so. He wants to talk to you. And I said, yeah, just put him on the phone and put on speakerphone. And he was like trying to, like, you know, talk his way out of it, because it was a felony. There was like 2 felonies, you know. And he had already done like 15 to 20 years for, like he said, homicide. And, you know, he had multiple whatever. And I just remember like 15 days later, I heard from a friend that he died of a drug overdose behind the Burger King, where he introduced me to heroin. Or I, you know, I mean, not that he was the reason that I injected heroin, but he was a willing participant. You know, these junkies, and I included myself in that junkie statement, because I am no longer a junkie, but I was a junkie for like fucking 10 years. You know, I just remember him saying, yeah, my granddaughter had to kick me out because I was babysitting, and my grandson told on me saying that I was in the bathroom. He would smoke crack at the homeless shelter, right, where we were at. And, you know, it's just crazy seeing these old, you know, like the CIA brought this shit over here to destroy the African-American community and then the white community afterwards. But that's what they do, you know, because they need a war to fight, you know. They need a, that was their Osama bin Laden. But just watching a guy, you know, talk about that shit, and he couldn't babysit his kids, his grandkids, because he would be in the bathroom all day smoking crack, you know. And I remember watching him at the homeless shelter. Like, I didn't really want to do drugs in the homeless shelter, you know. I was getting into recovery and stuff, and I just remember he would smoke crack, and he would like hide. Like, he would be down the hall doing, and I'd be like, bro, what are you doing? And this guy was like, oh, that's just how he acts after he smokes crack. I go, he just smoked crack in here? What is he, nuts? He was like, yeah, man. And I just was like, you know, and not that, you know, I mean, I don't know. I just, you know, I spent about 8 months, 6 months where I had a situation where I had my thing with that drug. And, you know, as a former crackhead, I can tell you, if you want to quit that shit, you can. You know what I mean? It's not like opiates or drugs that, like, fucking are in your system and they take, you know, like, I detox from pain pills. I can tell you, you know, cocaine or anything like that, you know, you might have a craving for a day or two, but it ain't nothing that you can't, you know, get rid of. So, I don't know. I just was thinking about that kid. I guess his name was Josh. I think he was from like Cheektowaga or Depew. But I don't know. Sometimes you just think about this shit and you think about, you know, I think about my brothers and what they would be doing now and how much I hate this fucking government and the pharmaceutical industry for what they've done with kratom. And, you know, my brothers might still be here if it was for that shit. And, you know, just running into people, that I know that go to AA or NA, and I just think back, like I just remembered, like, I might not have a lot of shit now, but there was a time in my life where I had, money, and I had a fucking girlfriend, that was going to medical school, and I had a job making a lot of fucking money, and I was miserable. I would spend $1,000 a week in pain pills, and, I had a company truck, I had my own car, we had a fucking, an apartment in Kenmore and all that shit, and I wanted somebody to fucking call my mom and tell her what the fuck I was up to. Do you know what I mean? I was so miserable, living that lie, and I'm just telling you, like, I'm just so thankful. I would fucking sleep on the street again if that was the difference between, well, you have to sleep on the street to stay sober, then that's what the fuck I would do if I had to do it.